Why is she silent, but still watching? She won't text, she won't call, she won't say a word. Not a "how are you?" Not an apology, not even a breadcrumb. But somehow, she's still there, lurking, watching your story the second it drops, liking a photo from 3 weeks ago, popping up in your people you may know. You didn't reach out, she didn't respond, but the connection, still burning underneath the surface. So what gives? Here's what most men miss. Silence doesn't always mean indifference. Sometimes it means obsession. The kind of obsession that's too fragile to confront head-on. See, texting you would mean vulnerability. Calling would mean admitting she still feels something. And that's a level of exposure she's not ready to face. So she stays quiet, detached in words but deeply involved in energy, because watching you from afar is safe. It doesn't risk rejection. It doesn't risk being ignored. It lets her feed off your presence without giving anything back. She wants to feel close, but without reopening the door. And if you're not grounded, you'll fall for it. You'll start questioning everything. Should I reach out? Is she waiting for me to make a move? Maybe she just needs time. That's how you lose yourself, chasing ghosts, mistaking passive presence for active love. But the man who knows his worth doesn't fall into that trap. He doesn't chase silence. He doesn't decode mixed signals. He just observes and stays focused. That's silent validation, not reacting, not explaining, just becoming, letting your evolution speak so loudly she feels it without you saying a word. Because the truth is, if she really let go, she wouldn't be watching. People don't monitor what they've moved on from. She won't text, but her silence is loud. Her attention is still on you, and deep down, that fact alone is starting to burn her more than she'll ever admit. If you're done analyzing shadows and ready to become the man who moves forward, regardless of who's still watching, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. My peace needs no permission. Now, let's begin. Number 1. Her silence is a strategy, not closure. When she stops texting, your instinct is to assume it's over, that she's moved on, that it didn't mean anything to her. But most of the time, silence isn't closure. It's a tactic, a power play. She wants to see if you'll chase, if you'll fold, if you'll panic and reach out first. She's not over you. She's just betting you're still under her. See, when someone goes quiet without explanation but continues to watch you from the shadows, that's not detachment, that's control. She wants distance without disconnection. She wants you wondering, doubting, thinking about her every move. Because if you're busy watching her silence, you're not focused on your growth. You're stuck in the loop. And she knows that. She knows silence drives curiosity. She knows the unanswered questions will keep you emotionally tethered. She wants to feel your attention, even if it's just in the form of mental obsession. That's why she hasn't blocked you. That's why she checks your page but never says a word. Because not texting you is how she stays in your head without committing to your life. But here's where everything changes. The moment you stop reacting, when you see the silence not as something to solve, but as a signal to detach. You stop feeding it. You stop needing answers. You stop giving her the thrill of being watched. And that's when her silence turns into uncertainty. Because now she's the one wondering, why isn't he chasing? Why isn't he breaking? Her silence was never about peace. It was about power. Take that power back, not by confronting her, but by becoming completely unaffected by her absence. That's how you flip the dynamic without ever saying a word. Number 2. She's watching because you're still her fix. She won't reach out, but she can't look away. That should tell you everything. If she was truly done, emotionally detached, moved on, you'd be invisible. But you're not. You're right there, front row in her digital theater. She sees your stories, your posts, your glow-up. And though she stays silent, she's tuned in like it's her favorite show, because deep down, she's still hooked. You were a source of attention, of validation, of emotional comfort, and cutting that off left a void. But instead of facing it, she's trying to fill it passively, by watching, by keeping tabs, by clinging to proximity without presence. That's why she won't text. Texting would mean admitting she still needs you, that she still cares, and that's a hit to the ego she's not ready to take. She wants the fix without the fallout, the emotion without the exposure. She wants to feel you're still there, still watching her too, still caught in the same loop she's in. Because if you're still orbiting her world, even quietly, it makes her feel valuable again. But here's where you break the cycle, by refusing to be her background buzz, by refusing to let her feed off your energy in silence. You stop posting for her to see. You stop crafting stories with hidden meanings. You stop trying to trigger a response. And most importantly, you stop looking back. Because when you take away the emotional access, she starts to feel the real distance. Not just physical absence, but energetic closure. And that's when the obsession intensifies, not because you're playing games, but because you're no longer playing at all. You were the source. Now you've gone quiet. And when a source cuts the signal, the addict feels the withdrawal. She won't show it, she won't text, but trust me, she feels it. And that silent hunger, it'll eat her up long after you've moved on. Number 3, she needs you to notice her absence. She didn't just disappear randomly, she pulled back strategically, not to forget you, but to test you. She wants to see what you'll do without her, if you'll chase, if you'll panic, if you'll spiral into the DMS with some emotionally loaded message. Because the truth is, she's not just leaving, she's watching the aftermath. Her silence is bait. She wants to be missed, she wants to be felt, she wants to know that her absence is powerful enough to shake you. And most of all, she wants you to make the first move. Because if you reach out, it confirms what she wants to believe, that she's still the one in control. She's not texting because she's waiting for that moment when you finally crack, when you break your silence and validate hers. And if you do, it resets the dynamic. It tells her, I can disappear and he'll still come find me. That's not romantic, that's manipulation, and she's counting on it. But when you don't chase, when you don't react, when you act like her silence is irrelevant, that's when the silence starts to haunt her. Because now she has to wonder, did he not notice? Did he not care? Has he already moved on? That unknown, that uncertainty. It burns deeper than any argument or emotional outburst ever could. Let her feel it. Not through drama, not through petty responses, but through complete indifference. You don't punish her by trying to make her jealous. You punish her by not even noticing she left. Because when she realizes her absence didn't stop your evolution, that you kept rising without her, it'll sting in a way no message ever could. Number 4, she wants to be missed without making a move. She's not gone, she's calculated. She wants to pull back just enough to make you feel her absence, but not far enough to actually lose you. It's a subtle game. Stay just out of reach, keep you uncertain, make you crave the version of her that used to show up. And she's hoping the silence becomes so loud, you'll break it for her. But don't mistake her distance for strength. It's not detachment, it's hesitation. She's afraid. Afraid that if she texts and you don't respond, she'll lose the control she's clinging to. So she chooses the safer route. She stays quiet, stays low-key, and hopes you're doing the emotional labor for both of you. That you're replaying old memories, wondering what went wrong, missing her harder than she misses you. This is emotional outsourcing. She wants the power of being missed without the risk of reaching out. She wants you to do the work, to carry the weight, to reopen the channel, to give her the comfort of knowing she still matters. And the moment you text her, that's the confirmation she was fishing for all along. But here's what breaks her pattern. When you feel the silence and don't flinch. When you resist the urge to check in, to clear the air, to see if she's okay. Because when nothing comes from you, she has to confront something terrifying. Maybe she's not being missed at all. And that's when the silence turns inward. That's when she starts questioning herself. Not you, not the breakup, herself. Because women know when a man doesn't chase, doesn't reach, doesn't react, it's not because he didn't care, it's because he got clear. And clarity is lethal to someone still playing games. Let her sit in the silence she created. Let her wrestle with the thought that the man who used to drop everything for her isn't dropping anything anymore. That's how you win this battle. Not by showing her you miss her, but by showing her you don't need to. Number 5. Her ego can't handle you moving on first. She may have walked away, but deep down, she expected to be the one who healed first, who bounced back faster, who had the upper hand in moving on. That's how it usually plays out. She detaches, you unravel. She posts cryptic captions, you spiral. She pretends to be unbothered, you stay stuck in the cycle. But when that doesn't happen, when you start leveling up and going quiet, that's when her ego starts to crack. Make no mistake, she's watching to see how long it takes you to break, to check in, to chase. Because if you move on first, it challenges everything she told herself to feel better about leaving, that you were too weak, too emotional, too stuck, that without her you'd collapse. So when you don't, when your silence gets heavier, your glow gets brighter, your peace gets louder, that's when she starts feeling the shift. And it cuts. Because now you're doing what she never expected. You're detaching without resentment. You're not bitter, you're better. And that's what her ego can't process. If you were angry, that would still be connection. If you were heartbroken, she'd still matter. But your indifference, that's ego death. She might have walked first, but you're the one moving further. You're not frozen. You're not stuck in the same cycle. You're growing, quietly, consistently. And what stings the most, you're doing it without her. That's what makes her silence scream. Not your messages, not your attention, but your absence and the undeniable progress happening without her audience. She won't text. But trust me, she knows. And every new move you make without her in mind rewrites the story she told herself to stay comfortable. That's not just growth, that's dominance. Number 6. She's hoping you'll break first. Behind the silence, behind the lack of messages and calls, she's waiting. Not because she's healed, not because she's moved on, but because she wants to see if you'll break before she does. It's a psychological standoff. Whoever speaks first loses power. And she's betting it'll be you. She knows what she meant to you. She knows the connection ran deep. So now she's gambling on your emotional investment. She's thinking, he won't last. He'll text. He always does. That's why she's quiet. Not out of peace, but out of strategy. She wants the win. She wants the validation of knowing you still care more than she does. That's why she checks your social media but doesn't engage. Why she might show up on your story views but never respond to a message. She wants you emotionally hungry, starving enough to come to her. Because if you break first, she wins. You confirm her worth. You carry the guilt. You prove that she still lives rent-free in your head. But when you stay still, when you don't reach out, when you continue living and leveling up like she never shook you, that's when the pressure flips. Now she's sitting with the silence she thought you couldn't handle. And the longer it stretches, the more it turns on her. It goes from power to paranoia. What if he's really over it? What if he never texts? What if I misjudged him completely? You don't have to speak to win. In fact, the one who speaks second holds the leverage. Because silence is clarity. It forces her to confront the truth, not the narrative she spun to justify leaving, but the reality that you're not coming to save her from her own decision. Let her wait. Let her sit in the silence she created. Because the one who holds the line the longest doesn't just win the game. They walk away without needing to play it again. Number 7. She's using distance to maintain control. When someone pulls away, most people assume it's over. But in reality, silence can be a tactic to maintain control, especially when she knows you were emotionally invested. By stepping back, she's not trying to end things cleanly. She's trying to keep the upper hand without confrontation. Distance in her mind gives her dominance, because as long as you're still reacting, she's still in control. Think about it. If she truly wanted peace, she'd give you clarity, a real conversation, closure. But silence? Silence leaves a door open. It creates confusion, and confusion keeps you stuck. You're not sure whether to move on or wait, whether she's done or just emotional. That limbo, that's exactly where she wants you, because a man stuck in uncertainty is a man still focused on her. And if you reach out to ask what's going on, to make sense of the silence, to just talk, you reinforce her control. You confirm that even in her absence, she still has power over your emotions, that her withdrawal worked, that she doesn't even need to show up to control the outcome. But the moment you stop giving her that power, when you refuse to question her silence, when you stop trying to make sense of nonsense, when you detach and move forward without needing answers, her entire play falls apart. Because now you're the one in control, not by force, but by indifference. You stop chasing clarity and become your own closure. You stop asking why she disappeared and start focusing on why you tolerated inconsistency in the first place. And from that space of strength, the whole dynamic flips. Because you're no longer dancing to her rhythm. You've gone silent, not to hurt her, but to heal yourself. And nothing shakes someone more than realizing their silence no longer pulls your strings. Number 8. She wants you to stay stuck while she explores. Here's the part nobody likes to say out loud. She might be quiet because she's testing other options, and she wants to do it without fully letting you go. She wants to explore, flirt, maybe even entertain someone new, but still keep you emotionally on standby, silent, confused, and waiting. That way, if it doesn't work out on her end, you're still there, still invested, still broken enough to be a backup. That's why she won't text, but still watches. That's why she doesn't say it's over, but won't engage either. She's hedging, keeping the door cracked just wide enough so she can slide back in later if it serves her. And while you're stuck overthinking every moment of silence, she's buying time, hoping you'll pause your life while she experiments with hers. It's emotional insurance. She doesn't want to lose you entirely, because deep down she knows your value. But she doesn't want to commit to you either, because that would require effort, accountability, and depth. And right now, that's too heavy. So she chooses limbo, not gone, not present, just there. And if you're not grounded, you'll fall for it. You'll wait. You'll put your progress on hold. You'll see her silence as something meaningful, something that needs decoding. But here's the truth. Her silence is self-serving. It's not about healing. It's about holding power without responsibility. Break the pattern. Don't be the emotional safety net. Don't be the guy she falls back on when reality doesn't match her fantasy. You're not her backup plan. You're not her placeholder. You're the man who chooses himself over confusion. Because once you stop waiting, once you move on with finality, you become the one that's truly untouchable. And trust me, that realization will hit her harder than any message ever could. Number 9. She's quiet because she wants you to prove yourself. She may not be texting you, but deep down she's hoping you'll prove your worth in her absence. It's not about missing you, it's about testing you. In her mind, if you really cared, if you really valued the connection, you'd be trying harder, reaching out, breaking the silence, doing whatever it takes to get her attention back. She wants you to audition for a part she already walked away from. That's the trap. Her silence isn't passive. It's performance. She's waiting to see if you'll take the bait and try to win her back. If you'll jump through hoops, even when she's not clapping. Because if you do, it validates her decision to pull away. It tells her she's still in control, even without saying a word. She wants to feel powerful without committing to vulnerability. She wants you to chase her, not because she intends to reconnect, but because she wants to feel wanted, desired, validated. Your pursuit feeds her ego, not her heart. It's not about rebuilding. It's about reaffirming her own value by watching you crumble. But you don't fall for that, not this time, because now you understand the game. You understand that love doesn't look like silence, and connection doesn't require proof. You've already shown your worth by how you showed up, how you loved, how you tried. You don't owe her more auditions. You don't need to prove yourself to someone who chose to walk away. Instead, You let her sit with the silence she created. You don't reach, you don't chase, you evolve. And in that evolution, you send the loudest message possible: I don't need your validation, I have my own. Because the moment you stop playing her game is the moment she realizes she's no longer the one being tested. She is, and the silence she thought would make you chase ends up revealing just how far you've already moved on. Number 10. Your indifference is her consequence. She didn't expect you to go quiet. She expected you to react, to fight, to explain, to hold on, because that's what you used to do. She thought your love for her was a weakness she could count on, that no matter how distant she became, you'd still be there, waiting, ready, available. But now, you're different, you're silent, not because you're broken, but because you've healed past the need to be heard. And that is what rattles her, because the very thing she thought would destroy you, her absence, is what made you stronger, what sharpened your focus, what revealed just how little you actually needed her. Your silence isn't petty. It's not revenge, it's restraint. And that restraint is what forces her to confront something painful. This time, she went too far. This time, there is no "Hey stranger" text that'll fix it, no sudden apology that will bring you back. Because you're not acting detached to win her back. You've become detached because you realized your worth is no longer tied to her attention. She won't say it out loud, but she feels it. Your indifference is pressure, it's consequence, not because you're punishing her, but because you've removed the emotional oxygen she used to breathe freely. She used to be the center of your focus. Now, she's not even a factor. And that shift? That's what delivers the deepest impact. Not a dramatic exit, not a final message, just your complete lack of interest in her presence. Because when she realizes the door she thought would always be open is sealed for good, that's when the silence starts screaming back at her. You didn't slam the door, you just walked through it and never looked back. That's not cold, that's closure. The kind she never gave you, but you gave yourself. She didn't text, she stayed silent. But silence doesn't mean peace. It doesn't mean power. And it damn sure doesn't mean she's moved on. Because while she's been quiet, you've been leveling up. You didn't chase, you didn't fold, you didn't take the bait. You let her play her game while you built a new reality, one where you no longer need her validation, her attention, or her approval. That's the real shift. Not pretending you're over it, but becoming someone who truly is. Someone who doesn't get dragged into emotional loops. Someone who no longer lives for breadcrumbs. Someone who chooses clarity over confusion, self-respect over temporary comfort, silence over unnecessary noise. Let her watch. Let her wonder. Let her sit with the weight of a man who no longer reacts, no longer proves, no longer waits. If you're done letting silence shake you and ready to let your stillness speak for you, hit that like button. Subscribe to Stoic Blessing, turn on notifications and comment below. I no longer wait, I move. Keep rising, quietly, completely, unapologetically.